Well, it's that time again. Time for our Inconceivable Moments Award. This is where we're featuring examples of the absolute lunacy and craziness that happens when cultural leaders try to give guidance completely apart from biblical principles. And we're calling this the Liberals' Most Inconceivable Moments Award.
Inconceivable!
Well, one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about the governor's speech earlier was this mention he had about how Virginia is being held hostage. Those were his words, being held hostage to the extreme policies of California.
It's a big deal. Maybe people don't know about this, but this has to change and it has to be undone quickly. This session, preferably. And the issue is that we in Virginia are now, our emission standards are determined by an unelected board of people that are in California. And we chose to do that through a liberal administration, liberal General Assembly. They passed a law, tied us to California. And it literally means that as early as 2024, it's like 35% of the vehicles sold in Virginia are supposed to be electric. That has, I can't even explain what kind of fallout that's going to have on prices, demand, all of it. And we don't have the electrical stations ready yet either. That's a whole nother side point.
And eventually, it's supposed to lead to pretty much a complete ban.
This is on the way to a full-out ban by like 36 or something.
And like you say, where's the infrastructure for this? It's not like we have gas plugs along the, electric plugs along the highway.
And I still like to take trips where I don't have to stop for 30, 40 an hour to actually just go to the next. It's bad.
But no worries. Apparently, they have a plan B.
Oh.
And that is they're going to go after our gas stoves now. Because, get this, apparently gas stoves are the silent killers that we should have all been fearing.
I don't even know where to start with this. I really don't know where to start with this. As a person with a gas stove that loves my gas stove, I would be highly, highly irritated if they banned my gas stove. And also, I just want to say that when there's electrical issues and your power goes out, it is so nice to have a gas stove because you can still boil your water and do the kinds of things. I can't comprehend how they get to this point where they try to do that. But according to the Washington Post, a Biden administration bureaucrat on something called the Consumer Product Safety Commission said that they were considering a ban on gas stoves, or at least limits on the fumes that they can generate or whatever. So anyway, it does seem like maybe since they initially announced that they got enough kickback, the commission has kind of walked it back a little, if I'm understanding that correctly. But, you already have cities like New York and LA and these other places talking about the same kinds of bans in certain homes and apartments.
So I didn't know you had a gas stove.
Oh, yeah, I love my gas stove.
So apparently Victoria's guilty of polluting her family.
I had no idea.
Apparently, these criminal gas stoves produce dangerous pollutants that conflict with the recommendations from the EPA, otherwise known as the Environmental Protection Agency. Plus, along with that, apparently gas stoves are now a form of political discrimination.
Well, I don't even know what to do with the idea of political discrimination and gas stoves, but literally these folks in Congress, the ones you would expect on the left, you've got, your Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, and these guys actually sent a letter to the Safety Commission asking it to take action against gas stoves. And get this, they said because basically it causes, it makes some kind of imminent danger for households, and it specifically called out Black, Latino, and low-income households.
Yeah, I just find it so ironic that this is the conversation about extreme health hazards whenever Senator Elizabeth Warren and Dr. Jill Biden, our First Lady, both use gas stoves in their own kitchen.
It's so nice of them to pay close attention to every other household.
Well, and they have the space for ventilation.
Yes, I guess that's the issue, right? Their houses are big enough to handle it.
And for those of you who aren't used to hearing Eli, he's our
Eli is our gas.
I just said grassroots. He's our grassroots.
Oh my gosh.
Eli is our gas
manager. Had gas on the mind there. Sorry. So he's our grassroots manager. And he has documented photo evidence of gas stoves apparently in these leaders' homes, the Biden leaders' homes. So that's ironic, but also I think it's just a little condescending. That we seem to be implying here that low-income households, low-income families do not have the common sense to figure out their own gas utilities. I mean, as well as, ethnic households? Can they not figure out ventilation? I mean, I feel like that's discriminatory.
I would be so offended if I were in a category they called out and made it sound like I couldn't manage my own household. And actually, I saw a stat that said the fire injury rate was 4.8 times higher in households with electric ranges than households using gas ranges. So
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if they know what they're talking about, let alone, they should be picking on certain groups of people.